difference I want to make here. Hello, Bryce. I want it to cut on the beat again. It's a little... yeah, like that. Yep. That is better. Otherwise, I think that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how this cuts together. This looks a little weird there. There's a black border on the side. I wonder why. This whole thing needs to be scaled up a little by 103. Oh, that is weird. Yeah, I'm really happy with how that cuts. It feels really good, so we can move on now. There's no better way to summarize Lost Odyssey's central aspiration than with this quote from the game's composer, renowned Final Fantasy legend Nobuo Uematsu. When I was composing the main theme, I often imagined what it would be like to live for 1,000 years. It must be so intolerable and painful seeing your families, lovers, and friends dying while you remain living. This feeling drove me to write the theme in a minor key. Perhaps above anything else Lost Odyssey sets out to do, it's this examination of what eternal life might be like that I found to be the most compelling idea. When framing this in the form of a question, it lays the groundwork for a thought experiment that I find really intriguing. Each of us is born with a drive to survive, to live long, fruitful lives, and to pursue as much happiness. Same thing there. It's like it's not quite filling the frame. Weird. Now there it feels like it is, which is strange. I'm going to do this anyways. What's up, Pollo Papa? Yep, we're in the home stretch though. We're just laying in the video clips, and as soon as we fill this all in, it's done. But fruitful lives and to pursue as much happiness as we can. However, if one... yeah, see, it's here too. I'm starting to think maybe this was part of a recording issue. I should probably keep... well, that's weird though, because it's black here, but like his hands come to the edge of the frame. But I can see a little bit here too. Maybe I should just, for safety from now on every clip, I should just scale it up. Maybe just by 1 frame. Maybe 2, just to be safe, and or 1 pixel, I should say. Just to make sure that it's coming through all the way to the edge. Yeah, see, it's there too. Okay. So, alright, I'm going to keep that in mind. I probably need to scale everything I put in here to 102 from now on. Just to make sure it's coming to the edge of the frame. What's up, dude McKay? See, there it's fine. But I'm going to do it anyways. You bought Lost Odyssey? Nice. Even though you don't have an Xbox. I think it's backwards compatible with the current Xbox hardware. I don't know if it will be on Yeah, there's kind of a weird white border there. I don't know if it will be for the Xbox Series X, you know, the next Xbox that releases, but we'll see, I guess. I'm just going to scale everything, every single thing to 102. Every clip needs to be scaled up a little bit. Yep. Okay, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to copy this. Just paste it on every clip. I think I did it on all these already. All right. That one's already scaled. It was the last one left for cheap on eBay, although I don't like how the box for it crams 3 discs in a way where they seem like they could fall out. It's actually 4 discs, and yeah, it's crazy. They cram 4 discs into one slot. Of what eternal life might be like that I found to be the most compelling idea. When framing this in the form of a question, it lays the groundwork for a thought experiment that I find really intriguing. Each of us is born with a drive to survive, to live long, fruitful lives, and to pursue as much happiness as we can. However, if one really could live forever, even while those around you grow old and die, if you could really find yourself outlasting a world that constantly changes, and suffer the losses that inevitably come alongside those difficult changes, how fulfilling would such a life really be? At what point would a person become fatigued with the world? Yep, that one needs it. Just paste it onto every single clip. World. Would the memories you make with those that pass on increase your happiness? Or would the constant loss of loved ones lead to a path of endless sorrow? Lost Odyssey explores this proposition in beautiful, nuanced ways through the many short stories told in its 1,000 Years of Dreams. And while the main plot doesn't focus as much attention on this... So is it the main character who's lived 1,000 years, or is it the antagonist? It's both. It's both, and then there's actually 2 other protagonists. So there's three people in the main party, and then 1 antagonist, 4 altogether, that have lived 1,000 years. And 3 of them have had their memories erased, and by the antagonist, who is the only one who clearly remembers everything. This theme as I would have liked, it still provides a perspective not often featured in games like this. Nevertheless, it has a strong... Did I look for that one? Yes. Strong sense of style and a solid foundation, and for many players, measures up to the great classics of the genre. But before we get into that, let's turn back time a bit. Around the turn of the century... Okay, I'm going to create an After Effects composition for that part. I'm going to create a timeline and do like a 3D camera move where we have Lost Odyssey sitting above the 2007 point of the timeline, and then I'm going to push the camera through backwards to 2001 maybe. Century, Squaresoft was undergoing some big or maybe just around like 2000, something like that. Internal changes. And that'll probably take up that whole part right there. But I'm going to do that like at the end of the process. But before we get into that, let's turn back time a bit. Around the turn of the century, Squaresoft was undergoing some big internal changes. They were in negotiations for a merger with rival company Enix. Or wait a minute, where should I do that? But before we get into that, let's turn back time a bit. Around the turn... Okay, I'll start the move. But before we get into that, let's turn back time. When I say turn back time, it'll start going back. Around the turn of the century,
and then it will kind of zoom in on 2000.
Squaresoft was undergoing some big internal changes.
And then we'll cut here.
They were in negotiations for a merger with rival company Enix.
And how... I'm wondering how to show this part. I wonder if I'll just show news articles, like the headlines of news articles. I could turn this into kind of a cool After Effects composition too, where we have like a 3D camera move as it moves past different like headlines or article titles. It's kind of like flying through them almost. So it would be
Undergoing some big internal changes.
It turns and the camera turns and you see the headline.
They were in negotiations for a merger with rival company Enix.
Then moves to
We're broadening the scope of their production capability by founding a movie studio and producing a feature-length film.
And that's, of course, going to be Spirits Within.
And we're transitioning their game development workflow to accommodate brand new hardware with the PlayStation 2.
I'm not sure how I'm going to show that. I'd probably find some headline about PlayStation 2 announcement or something.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s.
Now that we just need a photograph of Sakaguchi. So I'm thinking that up to this point right here, that's all going to be one gigantic After Effects composition shot. So we'll start on a timeline, we'll move down the timeline, kind of zoom in on the year 2000, then turn the camera around 180 and kind of zoom through a couple of headlines that demonstrate all three of these points, and then we'll cut to Sakaguchi's face for this part. So let's get a good photo of Hironobu Sakaguchi here. Probably a younger picture like this. From around the time, maybe. This one is, there's got to be a better, like it's really cropped. There's got to be a better image of it. There's him surfing in Hawaii. This is always a pretty good one. See, this is the picture, but why have they cropped it like that? That's fetching stupid. This is always a pretty good one, too. I wonder if there's a color image of this one. I don't think I've ever seen it, but... Okay, so this is a good one. This is a pretty good one. You got Blue Dragon back there, so that might be a good one to use. Yeah, people start catching on to fetch. It weirds people out at first. They're like, what are you saying? That sounds so dumb. But after a while, you say it with enough gumption, and it's just kind of funny, and people start saying it. It's kind of fun, kind of a fun word to say. It just sounds funny, which is the reason I've kept it in my vocabulary all these years. And when I was a kid, I said it because my parents didn't allow me to swear, but I keep saying it because it's just a funny word. Yeah, and that's what everyone goes to first, right? They think, oh, you're trying to make fetch happen. It's like, I've never even seen that movie. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never seen that movie. What the fetch? He doesn't even look, he looks like an alien. He doesn't even look like the same human being. The mustache, like, makes the man. Holy crap, he looks like a different person. That is crazy. I cannot believe that. He looks so different. That is insane, dude. What is this article? Nah, I'm not gonna use it. This is a really low quality photo, but it's freaking weird looking, man. When was this released? 3 years? No. 2010? Oh, it's mustache removing software. There was something that looked a little weird about it. It kind of looked Superman-like, right? When they removed, what's his name? Henry Cavill's mustache for Justice League. It looked a little strange. This is a low-quality image, so it's a little bit, you can get away with it a little better, but if this was like a high-definition image, you'd see some weird stuff going on around his face. Like the top lip, right? Something just doesn't look right about it. Anyways, that's funny. All right, I think I'm going to use this one here. Rust Odyssey developer photos. Sakaguchi. All right. Did it save? Hope it saved. Before I closed that out. Lost Odyssey. Okay, it's there. All right. Import. Sakaguchi. What are you talking about? It's a JPEG. What? Did it not save properly? I bet it didn't. I was worried about that. Looks like I was right. It's fine. It's completely fine. It's a JPEG image. What are you talking about? Import this, please. And then it works this time for some reason. What the fetch? After Effects or Premiere sometimes is janky like that. I don't get it. Okay, so we need to double this up.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone.
I'm actually gonna move it all the way to here.
However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed CFO Yoichi Wada, in particular, became Sakaguchi's largest source of opposition internally. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square.
So we're gonna make it really big. Like this. Little Gaussian blur on there. Like 75 or 80 maybe. And then do this or maybe this. And then slew scale. Actually, wait. We're not going to do a scale up here. What we're going to do is
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s.
Something doesn't look good about this. Maybe I should go a little less hard on that. Maybe I should blur it more. 100 or something. Or go even further, like 200. Okay, that's too much. Or I could have footage from the game underneath it.
PlayStation 2. At this time, Final Fantasy
could be literally anything, it doesn't even matter. There's an Aquara on the people in the back. And same with you. Maybe not that. Village. More of like the running around type of.
White boa back.
Oh no, it's over here. That'll work. Something in the background. Put a blur on it.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s.
Dang it, it goes like black. So over here.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone.
Okay, I'm thinking about. Let's try this. Where's my safe margins? Get them in there. Move it all the way to the side. Fine. My safe margins up there, and let's get a crop going on this image. Let's crop in on him a bit. Into the center. I have not seen Whiplash. That's a movie that I've really wanted to check out. My brother really loves it and has suggested it to me a lot. Alright, I think I'm going to crop a little more. Get his shoulder more or less correct, and then my brother has been trying to get me to watch it though, so I do definitely want to see it.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed.
Okay, I think I'm going to do titles well. I really wish I could animate titles in Premiere. Because that would be awesome. Let's do it in Final Fantasy VII font or something. This one a little bigger. How do we... Is it the kerning? Nope. It's... Nope. There we go. Let me make it... How do we do this? This. All right. Now, it's not really what I wanted. Bring this down. Come on. Come on. Down to be right on that line. This up. Now, we don't have much room to push on this, so maybe we should make this a little smaller. What the fetch? Get out of here. Get out of here. Delete that, please. Ah, crap. Just eyeballing it mostly, but something like that. Except I'm going to scale it down a bit so we have some room to push in on it. I don't want these. What is your problem? Get out of here with this. I don't want it. Something like that. Oh, whoops, I need to back in there. I need to give it some shadow underneath it. Okay.
2. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president.
Now, I am actually a little interested to see if there is any kind of 3D motion. Flip over. What is this? What does this do?
At this time, Final Fantasy...
That's not at all what I want. What the fetch? Why did it apply it to everything instead of just the letters?
2. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone.
Something weird. It's that. I don't know what this is. It's a text box that comes up, I think.
Wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed...
That's better.
At this time, Final...
I think I'm going to go just a little further up.
PlayStation 2. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed CF.
Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think I can do it this way. I think what I have to do is... make the whole thing... an open and After Effects composition. We're going to call it Lost Odyssey Animations. Go. Now, the problem is that it doesn't ever want to do stupid text. So I'm going to have to make that again. What the fetch? It almost guessed it right. I don't know why it was on Final Fantasy 3 and 6. That's crazy. Is that the one I did, or did I do Tactics? I did 7. Oh my gosh, spell it correctly. Okay, we need this to go that. The top layer, the fetch, these to be larger. Kind of fill there. And it in the center. That's not what I want. There we go. We'll make this part slightly smaller. Are you people meant to expect After Effects to only be able to render small moments in a video even if you have a really powerful computer? It's not about that. It's about the fact that I can't do what I want to do in Premiere. I can't animate this text the way that I want to in Premiere. I don't have the tools in Premiere to do it. See this one? Just a little closer. So you'll see what I mean. I'm going to do a 3D animation on this where I turn this into a 3D object and I put motion blur on. Another thing you can't do is motion blur. You can't animate something with motion blur in Premiere. So I will be able to do this right around here. Let me just make this third for a second. We can go into the rotation. And we can put keyframes on this and move forward a little bit. And we can put keyframes down again. And then I think it's on the y-axis. Nope, it's the x-axis. Essentially, I'm going to have it animated like that. I just mean that it's only meant to make portions of a video to be inserted in Premiere most of the time. I'm not sure what you mean by this. Like, you could, I guess you could edit an entire video in After Effects if you wanted to. It would be a lot more tedious to do it that way. But usually you use After Effects to render, like to do a shot, to animate something that you don't have the tools for in Premiere. And then and they have this really cool feature where they're linked. So everything that I do in After Effects is going to show up here in Premiere. So I have the projects linked together right now. So whatever I do here is going to actually show up here. This shot, this comp here, is now linked between the two pieces of software. So they're actually working in tandem with each other. So they make it so that you can go back and forth and have a pretty easy workflow that way. So that you don't have to like export a small piece of your timeline, import it into this, do your effect, export it, and then import it again, right? You can kind of just, it just sort of updates live as you're working on it. So anyways, that's more or less what I'm doing here. But you could edit a video in After Effects, but it's way more annoying to do it that way. Like Premiere is way better as just like a timeline editor than After Effects is. But there's a lot of things in here you can't do, with like this 3D kind of effect for animation that I'm about to do here, and there you can't animate, like I said, with motion blur in Premiere. And so this is going to have you'll see when this moves, there's a bit of like blur on that, between frames. So it gets that like appearance of motion, and you don't get that when you animate something in Premiere. So it's just about using the strengths of one or the other piece of software. So it'll kind of animate in like that. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Now, I need to know what I'm saying. At this time, final... I'm going to pull it over just a little bit. At this time... Oh, whoops. I got to grab... these. Stop. How did I not get that? Okay. Line it up there. Time. Final fan. There we go. So. Just kind of let that render, or pre-render, I should say. I think while I'm here, I might as well actually make the background layer 3D and push it in the background and do a camera move on this, because that'll look better than just scaling it. Also, I don't think I'm centered. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the I'm going to move this over just a little further, but otherwise I think it's pretty good. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator a little further. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square. Perfect. Okay. So now I feel like the photo needs to be centered a little differently. This part. You can just delete that layer. It's just a little bit off. How does that feel? It feels a little better. I might move it down a bit. So within the safe area. And okay. Now what I'm going to do is turn this into a... Not the fetch, not this part, this part. Turn this into a 3D layer, turn this into a 3D layer. And we're going to position this way in the distance. Way out there, and then scale it up. Which is fine because it is blurred out anyways. And then we're going to create a new camera. And with the fetch, that's crazy. Maybe this can not be quite so far in the background. Pull back this down there. Down there. Then we're gonna animate this position. And by the end of it, move up closer on it. Maybe I'll put some lights in here to give it a little more of a dynamic look as well. Might increase the motion blur slightly.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice.
Looks pretty good. All right, I'm going to increase the... Make sure you clicked in here when you do it. Increase the motion blur to 360. What that looks like when... All right, we got a little motion blur now. You can see it a little better. I think I'm also going to easy ease it in. Kind of settles like that. Maybe even at the start of it, I'll do it as well. Just gonna yeah, nice little animation. Yeah, that looks good. Save that, and let's put some lights in here. Yeah, give it that more dynamic feel. I like one like up in this corner, up there, and then maybe a second one. Well, that's bright. Pull it down. Kind of into this corner. Then the intensity down to 60. And intensity on this one down to 60. All right, maybe a little more than that. 90. Look like before, after. Maybe just one light was enough. before, after, before, after, before, after. It looks a lot better. All right. Let's see what that does. Chad Warden? I don't know if I've ever heard of Chad Warden. Who is he? Right, any second now. Should be done. He was one of the first internet trolls who made fun of other game consoles and made a lot of people angry, but it was really funny the way he talked. No, I've never heard of him. Never heard of him. Oh yeah, this is some old video here. I can see the compression and pixelation just in the thumbnail image. All right. This should be done here really soon.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy.
I think I want the push to be just a little bit more dramatic than that. Let's just push in a little bit further. So that move looks a bit more... Alright, let's put it to like a quarter just so we can see what this looks like. Yeah, a little more noticeable. I think I like that better. I'll take a look at it here when I have a second. I see what it's all about. I used to watch a guy called El Presador. He did kind of the same thing. He'd troll the console war people. He even did a whole like a fake little press conference where he pretended like, now I can see that image isn't quite centered, is it? He did like a fake press conference, kind of like LeBron James, where he pretended that he was leaving. This channel isn't around anymore. You can't find it. But he pretended he was leaving PlayStation to take his talents to the Xbox, kind of like LeBron James did with Cleveland to Miami. You know, taking his talents to Miami. He did like a little press conference kind of as a satire on that where he switched consoles from PlayStation 3 to Xbox 360. And people like freaking went crazy. But I mean, it was a whole persona that he obviously didn't give a fetch. He didn't even really care about video games. He was just making fun of people. Well, all of them at once, and that nobody realized it, right? Which was the funniest part about it. Yeah, I would have
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive.
Okay, that looks better. But I need to center this a little bit more. Okay, that was too far. That's better. All right, this thing's ready to go. I'm just going to actually do it this way. Get into a QuickTime. And yeah, let's put it on the desktop because every time I mess this up, we'll call it Hironobu Sakaguchi title animation 1. Okay, so that's going to go there. This is going to be another After Effects comp here. Actually, while that renders, I'm going to step out for just a second. I'll be right back. Give me a couple minutes. All right, I got back just as it's about to finish. Okay. Thank you. Done with you now, and let's import that into here. Oops. Adobe Media Encoder is built into these programs, so you don't have to open it separately. That's basically the media encoder that's used to just export anything from the
PlayStation 2. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed CFO Yoichi Wada, in particular, became Sakaguchi's largest source of opposition internally, and their disagreements came to a head when the Spirits Within bombed at the box office and lost the company tens of millions of dollars.
Dang it, I think I have a better idea for this.
Two. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed CFO Yoichi Wada, in particular, became Sakaguchi's largest source of opposition internally, and their disagreements came to a head.
Let's just see if we can find a photo of Yoichi Wada first. Yep, this is the guy. I want a larger image, but I want that one. Yoichi Wada. Okay, maybe not wallpaper, but something bigger than the last one I saw. Dang it. This is the image I want. I'm actually rethinking this. To make this into one big long shot where it like animates Sakaguchi in on the left side. Maybe a little bio on him or something, and then you animate Yoichi Wada onto the right. This is a different language, but I do feel like having some kind of drop shadow on this might make it look a little better. If I create some kind of textured background and just animate him onto the right side, and then put a title up here with a bio. And do the same with Wada on the right. I think I want this one. All right, I'm rethinking this. Dang it, I always forget the name of that website that Tom W sends to me, and it's really good. Something. What's it called? There it is. So you put in an image, and you can up-res it. It's Odyssey. Switch. And highest 2 times. I'm not a robot. The photo. Convert. Does smooth it out quite a bit, but Whatever. I'll take it. All right, I'm getting an idea. I'm getting an idea, and I think it's going to be better than what I'm doing right now. It's going to look better than this. So, delete this for a second.
Tens of millions of dollars.
Put Sakaguchi's photo into here again. Oh, not that. What the fetch? Where'd it go? This is a photograph, correct? No, it's not. What? Where's the photo? Okay, that's insane. Where is it? This photo, you freaking moron. It's just called Sakaguchi. Okay, that's why. Looking in rage. We need to make these photos be cropped the same way. So, import Wada. What? That's not the one I pulled in. This one. Okay. So, maybe we can scale him up just a little bit. About there. And then we're going to crop him too, and we're going to crop on the left. Not too much. Hold on, I got to take this call. Give me a second. Okay, sorry about that. Let's get back to this here. Had a call there with my boss. Oh wait, it's totally not aligned on the top, is it? Like at all? What the fetch? Oh wait, was that wrong? Go back to where you were. Okay, maybe it is aligned. I'm crazy. I'm losing it. Right there. And move to the top so that I can crop in on the left. That it's more or less. Alright, so what I actually want to do is crop on the right a bit. Then move it over. I don't want to crop on the left anymore. Alright, so those two photos are more or less the same size now. After that crop, and we're going to push Uichiwada to this side. In the safe space. And this to this side. The safe space. Maybe like that.
Hardware with the PlayStation 2. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed CFO Yoichi Wada, in particular, became Sakaguchi's largest source of opposition.
Okay, still not totally. Get all the way up against. Same with this. All the way up against. Okay, went a little too far on that one. This one. All right. That looks good. So, what I'm thinking is that we'll make this into an After Effects composition. Ah, crap. Undo that. That wasn't exactly what I wanted. Undo that. I want to grab this as well. Now do it. Okay. So we got the comp here. Let's turn off Wada for a second. Let's get us a textured background of some kind. Dark textured background. Let's see what we find. That's not bad. Oh, never mind. This isn't exactly what I want. I don't want it to look grungy necessarily. Maybe I could put our Resonant Arc bluish kind of background behind him. Something kind of like this. It's more what I'm thinking. That's kind of interesting. Get some ideas here. When I looked up Yoichi Wada a second ago, what did that look like? got... So it kind of has a businessy sort of growth thing, like a little graph. It's not necessarily what I want, but I like the cool colors. I kind of like the idea of this drop shadow on there. I could actually cast that with a light. So rather than doing a drop shadow, I'll have a light like cast it. But thinking is some kind of background. Maybe I could still make the background be this, but it looks a little dull, I feel. Also, this needs like some contrast or something. It's not doing it for me. Let's brighten it up a bit. Kind of does make it too colorful though, so we'll go to that, but we'll reduce saturation by like 15, or maybe just 10 or something. That matches a little better. Okay, and then water will be there. Now let's actually push them a little further out to the sides. Push them all the way to this edge. And water all the way to the edge. Because we're going to leave some room to put like a bio on this side. Right. Let me look up a bio for him. Actually, I'm rethinking this again. I like the concept of having Sakaguchi on that side and then animating Wada on this side and kind of doing the head-to-head. This image I like, but it does make me wonder, like, if filling in the space over here when I'm talking about him. I mean, bios seem a little cheesy to me. So I wonder if I could do something else there. I do know for a fact that I'm going to put this part right. Here-ish. Now that I'm thinking about it, we can probably pull him a little closer to the side. Something like that. Seems pretty good. It'll animate in from this side, so we'll have him kind of like move in like this. And then he'll animate off, and Yuichi Wada will zoom, come over to this side. So I still need a background, though. Maybe I can build kind of this look and feel around my animations that all kind of like tie together, right? Like kind of like the logo of Resonant Arc now has like this kind of thing where it comes between kind of two gold strips, and then the text goes inside of sort of a darkened center band. And I'm thinking about doing this because I kind of do this already for my quotes. So my quotes are always inside of like a darkened band that comes across the screen, and I'll usually put the creator over in a box right here over the top of it, and then the quote comes inside. And I was thinking about adding these gold bands onto that to sort of match with the sort of like look of everything we're doing now. And so maybe I can do the same thing here. Maybe I'll create like a band, and he'll go on top of it, and then I'll just do the same for the other side. So that would make sense if we then put this background in there. Now, one thing I have to do with this background is I have to give it, let's make it 3D, to give it a colorista, increase the contrast, like that. Then we would create a dark solid. Put it behind him. And as close to the center as possible. That. Let's turn everything in a 3D layer here. No, that's where we're going with it, so. Okay, and then we would make this 90%. Like that. We get our gold. Our gold texture is where? Gold texture right there. Let's see. Like that.
At this time, final...
Stop! What are you doing? Oh, that's why. Okay, hold on. It's got to be scaled up, doesn't it? actually stretch all the way across. Okay, and then we'll do like a... How do I usually do this? We gotta do subtract, and then duplicate this one and add or something, and then one of these, we expansion on it, opposite way. There we go. Problem is, and I'm really messing this up, not doing this correctly. Okay, let's grab the masks. That. These masks. All right. It's going to appear inside of there. That looks okay. I think we'll want to get a light in here. And position it, or maybe this side a bit. Do move it in that-ish area, right? I could probably make it not quite as bright as it is. And I think I need to tell it to cast shadows. Cast shadows on. And then I need to tell this to allow it to cast shadows. Except shadows on. Okay, it's on. So why is it not casting a shadow? Or is it casting a shadow? It's just, I can't tell. Maybe it is casting a shadow. I'm confused. Is it casting shadows? I can't tell if there's a shadow there or not. It doesn't look like it to me. Probably change the anchor point there. Point of interest. Kind of garish. If I brighten it up, it should be casting a shadow, but I don't see it doing that. I don't see the shadow. Maybe it's because the background image doesn't accept shadows or something. This is looking better, though. This is looking a lot more legit now. Like, kind of kind of a cool look to it. And it's going to fit a little better with our little theme here. I do want to maybe go to -28. Just not quite be so thick on the bands there. That's a little better now. If I go down to -20, what would that look like? I like that better. Let's grab the path. These down. And the path on these up. All right, this is looking cool. This is looking kind of cool. What was I doing? I was gonna see if this is accepting. Lights and shadows. Cast shadows. Oh, it's got to cast shadows. Okay, that was the problem. This needs to not just accept, but it needs to also cast shadows on. Now is it casting a shadow? I keep thinking it is, but then it's not. Maybe it's casting it down here because that's where the light's coming from, but let me get a different light. Move it down here. Way over here. And it needs to be much less bright. Even less. Let's go down to 45 or something. Maybe even this one can be brought down to 120. Alright, I think that looks pretty cool. Part of me that wants to push Sakaguchi over a bit. And then scale this up. A lot of space here that is unnecessary. Whoa, 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 calm down. More, I feel. Get it's nice, kind of even feel to it. More this direction. Okay. I'm not sure I'm loving that text anymore, like the font of it. I think maybe the top and bottom should be separated somehow. So instead of having them on the same layer like this, do one like that, and then one. What the fetch? I'm creating a new text layer, please. Thanks. We're going to put this into a different font. And And my go-to font usually is Gill Sans with an italic on it. This is kind of my go-to font choice. I like this one a lot. Now, is it going to look any good? To have that pixelated font with one that isn't. I don't think so. I think I need to change it. I think it needs to be Gill Sans as well, but not just a regular rather. I spell his name. Am I spelling his name right? Hiro Nobu. Yeah. That looks better though. That definitely looks better. There's no question about it. Okay. Let's get these to be centered. Right there. And there. Feels pretty good. Feels pretty good. I like it. I like the feel. Now I got to get to animating. And we already have this animated, so let's grab this part, copy it, and paste it there. Oops, I think I messed it up. One more frame. Is it because this is not a 3D layer? Okay, I messed it up. Undo, 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 undo. Make it a 3D layer. Grab all these. One frame back. Paste. So that they... What the fetch? What? This makes no sense at all. Literal nonsense. Okay, we're just gonna freaking stupid. Opacity. Opacity. You're at 0 here. Turn on, and you start with your X rotation, and you end with it here, and you start with it being hello. Other direction, I think. Okay, what's happening with this? Why is it not animating? What's going on? You should be at full opacity, and you should have animated by now. Dumb. Why are you dumb? Thank you. They should flip. Why isn't it working? This is nonsense, dude. What the fetch? What the fetch? This doesn't make any sense. I don't know why I can't see it. What's happening? It's all messed up. Something is really fetching screwed up. These are the only two things. It should be rotating up, but it just snaps in.
I don't understand this. What the freak, dude? Why? Why? This is messed up. I wonder if I need to purge something. How do you do this? I forget. Purge the freaking image. Purge freaking all memory. Why is it doing that? That doesn't make any fetching sense at all. It's not even doing what I'm. This is ludicrous. I create a new layer. I make it into fetching italics. And what is the size of this one? 65? Okay. 65. What is the position on this? I'm going to do a 3D layer. $1370 by 604. It's in the same exact spot. Okay, delete this. Put this here. Stupid thing. Come on. Now, we're going to move it here. Do a rotation, an X rotation. And we'll go here, do an X rotation. Make it -88 or whatever. And it should animate. It's not working! Why? What's the problem? Is it because it's... I am 100% baffled by this. It makes no sense at all. Is it because it's being clipped by the background? That's what's happening? If I push this... Oh, what am I doing? Position. If I push it way back in the background, is it going to keep doing that? It's clipping through this for some reason. So I need to make this not a 3D layer, I think. Wait, why is that casting a shot? What? The fetch? Here, the Sakaguchi portrait is casting a shadow now, but if only when this layer is 3D. If this one's not 3D, it doesn't do it anymore, which makes no sense either. Whatever. Get the gold texture to not be 3D. Now it should do it, right? Okay. So that's what was happening. It was clipping through the black. For some reason it was, but this wasn't. It's ridiculous. Put this back underneath it again. They should both be... Do you know what I should do? I shouldn't keep them separate like this. I should pre-compose them. So I don't like that they have a different animation. They feel like they're not part of the same title. I don't like that. So I'm going to pre-compose those. And I'm going to pre-compose these two things. So just pre-compose it as RA band 1. Now make it a 3D layer and move it into the background. What are you doing? Position. Push it back so that it won't clip like that. And scale it up.
that.
Okay. Now,
just get rid of all this. And same here, just get rid of all of it. Pre-compose this. Sakaguchi title. All right, make that a 3D layer. Scale this up. This freaking shadow makes no sense. All right, now take the title and we'll do the rotation on this. So it starts here. Transparency. Right before that is 0. Bam. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-ish. -90. And it should animate in like this. Turn on the motion blur. All right, now I got to do something about that ridiculous freaking shadow being cast. What? I don't even know what I'm doing with that. That's freaking weird. Just turn them off. This is fetching whack. Okay. What does it look like without them? Looks like that. This on, it looks like that. I'm starting to feel like it looks better without lights. Light 2. What's the brightness on this one? Brightens up the text a little bit. Okay, I think that's good enough there. Now, pulls in like that. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator here. There we go. Okay. See the whole comp here. That's going to come in like that. But I'm going to animate Sakaguchi's picture in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. There. Off the screen to the right. Okay, I think I'm going to, first of all, do what I was doing before. These, right?
At this time, Final Fantasy series.
I might just have to sacrifice. Make this look better. That's not quick enough. Not quick enough. Now we're going to do some cool animation with this. Go like that. Go like that. And then we can kind of pull this back a bit. Drag that out a bit. More. Further. Just slightly less. Just slightly less. Sharp. A little too crazy. Just a tad. That's going to look a lot better, I feel. That looks cool. And we could probably even, back to this very first frame with this, move it in a bit so that it starts like right there. Actually, I think I liked it better before. Yeah. And we can make this animation a couple frames longer, I think. Yes. Bam. And then we'll do a mask on this. And a mask path. And pull it all the way across by probably about this time. At the beginning. It's going to be back here. And there is no. Doesn't look like there's much motion blur on that. I could be wrong. Okay, we're gonna have to do something similar on these. Where are we? What the fetch did I do? What did I do? Just this part. That's a little like. A little faster. It's getting there. It's getting there. It needs a little more. Okay, that. Come on. And that they kind of cross each other around the same time. Just like it's coming in, that's coming in. They go fast at the same time and then slow down. Then that pops in. Yes! Much better. Love that. That looks sweet. We got motion blur on it, right? That looks
Final.
Alright, let's see what that looks like.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed...
And that's where we're going to bring in Wada. Now here's the thing. I'm going to want to do some kind of push on this outside of just the animation itself. But that looks cool. I like that. That looks pretty sweet. So we're going to do the same going the other way for Wada. So I might as well animate that while I'm at it.
However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by...
This is where we're going to get that. How many freaking frames is this? I think I want to say it's 2 seconds, so or 2 seconds, and looks like 1 frame. So this is 24 frames per second. That's 48. It's like 49 or 48 frames or something. So right there. This would be 1. This would be 2, somewhere in that range. And we're going to put this one there. Doesn't look right, but it's slow. Why is it slow? That is really stupid. What the fetch? What the fetch? I shouldn't have copied. I should have just... These look more or less the same. Jeez, that was crazy, dude. Fast. Off the screen. Go. Get out of here. And water will come on at the same time. Yeah. Come in, come in. Are you going to stay resting there, or are you going to start moving or doing something stupid? You should rest there and do nothing. Is it moving at all? Okay, good. I don't think it's moving. I'll hold that until we get to here, and then it's going to slide off the screen. And before it does that, we're going to get this, copy, paste, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, copy, paste, opacity 100, opacity 0. Oh, wait a minute. I think I did that wrong. It needs to be like this. Maybe I need 2 extra frames on there. There we go. We can drag these a couple frames so that it speeds up quicker. And at the same time that we're doing that, we're going to bring in Yoichi Wata. Where are you, buddy? Wata. Turn him on. Okay, so him we're going to bring in position here. Want him to be in the picture, to land in position at the same time as he stops his thing. So right there. starting here, we'll want him over on this side. Of the frame. And we will F9 those. We'll do the same thing where we bring up like this. Gonna look a little weird if they're like right to each other like that, but I'll kind of offset them so that water comes in a little after. So he's like GTFOing that direction. He's coming in right after. Okay, I just need to see what the animation looks like. Come on. That's pretty close to what I want. Maybe just like, I mean, just slightly more. That's gonna look good. Wham, wham. Yeah. And then we'll get Yuichi Wada's name to come up, and then this animation should be done. Except that I'm going to do a push. I forgot about that. This took a lot longer than I thought it was going to, but it's going to look really cool. And we should have a template more or less for how we're going to do other titles and things in the future. Yeah, and then we'll have Wada's name come up. Now, what I need to do is copy these into here, position them over on this side, change the text to something else. Yoichi Wada. Now, what am I saying? Because I'm wondering how I should actually title him, because he became the president of Square. Maybe former president, I could say. This off for a second. I just want to hear it.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed CFO Yoichi Wada, in particular, became Sakaguchi's largest source of opposition internally.
Maybe I could say former CFO and president. This needs a little more space between. How did the... format business title. This isn't what I want. I just want an image of how you title somebody's. Come on. Oh, well, I don't know. What if I just call them former president? What I'm wondering is, like, what is the correct way to, like, I feel like you almost need to separate the title from the company somehow. You know what I mean? Like, whether that's like a dash. Dang it. Like that. Or whether this needs to be like one of those. Something like that. But if I did that, I'd kind of need to do the same thing with Sakaguchi here. Like, do a creator and then a line, Final Fantasy. Unless I just turn this into an of. And then, like, maybe we'll just get a little smaller. I think that works. I think it looks good. Okay. So we just take his title. Actually, wait a minute. Let's get it centered a little better than this. Something like that. And recompose as Wada title. And once he slides into position over here, maybe right around this point, we're going to, well, let's just do it on our own. Rotation, X rotation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then -90. And transparency. See, what did I just do? 0. All right, we can actually bring it in a little sooner, I think. Probably in around here. Yeah, like that. As close as I can get with. I don't know why, I just feel like it needs to be sooner. It's going to kind of come on over the top of him. Maybe I should put the title underneath his picture, and that would help. This. Well, it should be underneath, right? Here's the photo. Here's the title. Why is it coming on top of him? It should be underneath him. That makes no sense. Makes no sense, but it shouldn't matter because it's quick. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what we got here. Second title is not centered underneath the first one very well. I need to move it over. Let's just do it now.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator.
Let's go into here, and this definitely needs to be moved over position-wise. That. There we go. Now it seems to be centered. Save. In my way.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed CFO Yoichi Wada, in particular, became Sakaguchi's largest source of opposition internally, and their disagreements came to a head when the Spirits Within bombed at the box office and lost the company tens of millions of dollars. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi.
Okay. It needs some camera movement. Why do none of these things seem to... Dude, pull over here, please. What the fetch are you doing? This needs to end. It needs a camera move of some kind. Now this is gonna get... This is where it's gonna get really freaking annoying. Because I'm gonna want to pull out pretty... not a solid camera. I'm gonna want to have it be positioned there and then here, right there. At the beginning, I want it to be pulled out quite a bit further. Screw everything up, but like, how quick does that appear to be moving? That part. Might actually work. I'm going to be really surprised, but I think it might. So like, what does it look like? How fast? Come on. It's pretty good. I think I want it to move a little faster, so pull out just a little more. And we can scale this up. Can make the starting positions of... Scale it up just a little further than that. There we go. The starting positions of these two guys. Further away. Same here. Screen. Seeing it. Now we're gonna have to do... Oh my gosh, it's still not off the screen. Get the fetch out of here. Oh my gosh, it's still not off. Stupid fetch. Get out. Am I on the... Oh. That's why. Okay, and then we're gonna need the band. A tad more. Okay. Let's see what it looks like. Stop.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed CFO Yoichi Wada, in particular, became Sakaguchi's largest source of opposition internally, and their disagreements came to a head when the Spirits Within bombed at the box office and lost the company tens of millions of dollars. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator...
It's close. I think I want it to be... I still want the move to be a little bit more dramatic. I'm going to pull a little further in at the end. Kind of push it as far as I can.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed CFO Yoichi Wada, in particular, became Sakaguchi's largest source of opposition internally, and their disagreements came to a head when the Spirits Within bombed at the box office and lost the company tens of millions of dollars.
That looks good. All right, I think I'm ready to export that. I think we're all set. Give it a save. Let's bring it to full. And let's add it to the render queue. Call this Sakaguchi versus Wada. All right, well, I spent 2 hours working on one animation. Fetching A. But, you know, at least it'll look sweet when it's done. Maybe I can fill this part in here before we stop for tonight, if it's stuff I can easily do. And I'm going to do this one, process this part that's going to go in here. Didn't get it quite as far as I would have liked, but that's what it takes to make stuff look good.
What's good, YouTube? Today's going to be about 5 body language signs that a guy is falling in love with you. Before I start, I just want to tell you guys that I will be going live soon, so comment down below for the best time of day that I should do that. Most of my traffic on this channel is late at night on weekdays and all weekend. So again, let me know in the comment section when you think I should do it. I'll schedule it for the average of those responses. I've never been live on this platform or any other platform for that matter, so this will be fun for me. Anyway, let's dig into this topic. Sometimes in new relationships, it can be hard to tell if you've upgraded from like to love. There are a ton of things to look out for, but some of these are the more physical yet subconscious body language signs that a guy is starting to fall in love with you. If you notice some of these 5 things consistently, then that L word might be coming your way sooner than later. So the first thing you might notice is that he's...
I don't know why she sent this to me. My girlfriend sent this to me, and she's trying to tell me that, I don't know how to explain it. Anyways, I'll watch that later. Dude takes forever to freaking get to the point. Come on, when is this gonna happen? I haven't gotten to the actual point of the video. He's just saying 5 body language signs that say that a man's in love with you or something, right? So she sent this to me. She's probably teasing me about it because I'm not a very emotionally expressive person, and she's very emotionally expressive. So we're opposites in that way. So sometimes she'll, feel like I don't care about her or whatever because I'm not being super vulnerable emotionally. So she's probably sending it to tease me about it. But I haven't actually gotten to the point of what he says, what the signs are, because he talked for 2 minutes about nothing. Okay. Sweet. Now we can put this in here. Desktop. This one right here. We'll pull it in. You do this streaming at your workplace, right? Yes, I do. Okay.
To accommodate brand new hardware with the PlayStation 2. At this time, Final
Fetch.
Hardware with the PlayStation 2. At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed CFO Yoichi Wada, in particular, became Sakaguchi's largest source of opposition internally, and their disagreements came to a head when The Spirits Within bombed at the box office and lost the company tens of millions of dollars. Anticipating that the shareholders would ultimately side with Wada, who became the president of Square shortly thereafter, Sakaguchi had already laid down his plans to walk away and start his own independent studio.
Alright, for that, I'm just going to pull up the sources on this that I have, which I think are all in the Final Fantasy XII research. So, we've got Sakaguchi forms alliance. Square does. Before Spirits Within comes out, right? Yeah. Okay. Alright, so I just need to get a screen capture of this. Print screen, that's good. Go to Photoshop. That's not what I want, but okay. Yes. Let's do whatever, I can just do it there. Okay, save as a PNG. Call it domain name, maybe Mistwalker domain name. And we're gonna put it into here. That's wrong folder. Right in there. There we go. Put it in here. Is
of millions of dollars. Anticipating that the shareholders would ultimately side with Wada, who became the president of Square shortly thereafter, Sakaguchi had already laid down his plans to walk away and start his own independent studio. In early 2000,
oh wait, I guess I need something else for that part.
In early 2001, before the release of Spirits Within, he had already registered a trademark for Mistwalker and secured its domain name. Though he stayed on at Square in its domain name. In early 2001, before the release of Spirits Within,
Scale the 102 to start, and we're gonna put in a colorista to there, and do a secondary mask. I'll do a rectangular mask and show the red overlay, please. Switch my cross. The height much smaller. There. I do like Odin Sphere. Odin Sphere is a great game. It's a phenomenal game, actually. I enjoyed it quite a bit. apply. Then
In early 2001, before the release of Spirits Within, he had already registered a Before the release of Spirits Within, he had already registered a trademark for Mistwalker and
Alright, now we're going to go to the end of the clip and make sure we can read this. Push in on it.
In early 2001, before the release of Spirits Within, he had already registered a trademark for Mistwalker and secured its domain name. Though he stayed on at Square in an executive
I think I need to let this hang a second longer.
domain name. Though he
There.
its domain name. Though he stayed on at Square.
Yeah, I think I like that a little better.
Domain name. Though he stayed on at Square in an executive producer role for Final Fantasy XI and XII, he was also making preparations to go his own way. And in 2003, he left the company which had served as his home for 20 years, and also making preparations to go his own way. And in 2003, he left the company which had served as his home for 20 years, and upon which he had founded his name and legacy, to begin a new phase of his career as an independent game maker.
Wait, what am I going to do here?
Bombed at the box office and lost the company tens of millions of dollars. Anticipating that the shareholders would ultimately side with Wada, who became the president of Square shortly thereafter, Sakaguchi had already laid down his plans to walk away and start his own independent studio.
Alright, maybe there's another... I think I need to... Yeah, that should help. Do this. Just want to... Okay, I think I do need to do it this way. Print screen, again. Sakaguchi resigns. Yeah, you can't do that, can you? Fine, whatever.
Anticipating that the shareholders would ultimately side with Wada, who became the president of Square shortly thereafter, Sakaguchi had already laid down his plans to walk away and start his own independent studio. In early 2001...
Okay, so we're going to do the opposite on this. We're actually going to zoom out. So start up at like 110. And still going to use Colorista to do a rectangular Thrilling Ride. Right, apply and second.
Anticipating that the shareholders would ultimately side with WADA, who became the president of Square shortly thereafter.
Let's go way closer than this. Let's go like zoom in like that. And we'll pull out to like 125.
Anticipating that the shareholders would ultimately side with WADA, That's
not what I wanted to do. Yeah. Here. There.
Anticipating that the shareholders would ultimately side with WADA, who became the president of Square shortly thereafter, Sakaguchi had already laid down his plans to walk away and start his own independent studio. In early 2001, before the release of Spirits Within, he had already registered a trademark for Mistwalker and secured its domain name. Though he stayed on at Square in an executive producer role for Final Fantasy XI and XII, and secured its domain name. Though he stayed on at Square in an executive producer role for Final Fantasy XI and XII, he was also making preparations to go his own way. And in 2003, he left the company which had served as his home for 20 years, and upon which he had founded his name and legacy, to begin a new phase of his career as an independent game maker.
Okay, I think I know which video I want to show for this. It should be in the Final Fantasy XII review, actually. There is an interview. I think it's this one. Actually, it could be this one. Oh no, this isn't what I want. This is me going in and recording extra stuff. Was the interviews that I wanted. This one. You get the part with Sakaguchi. Oh, 10. Final Fantasy 10, not 12. Final Fantasy 10. Final Fantasy 10. I don't think I have that on here. That's not good. But I do have this. I downloaded this. But this isn't the same.
So I had this personal network again. So that's why I brought Mr. Shigema fund money.
I'm going to move this into there just to get it off my desktop, but this isn't what I was thinking. There's a Final Fantasy X interview that I'm thinking of where they have a title for him as the executive producer or whatever. And that's what I want. Alright. Here's the Ken Kutaragi article. Let's put that in there. What the fetch? I didn't do that. Down there. And okay. Wait, what is this? Oh, I'll say that's a different video. Final Fantasy X interviews, right? That's what I'm looking for. It's this.
浮いていあと一発なんだけど音が切れないよと
Where are you? Sakaguchi. Yeah, this one. Why did they stretch it out like that? Gosh, I hate when they do that. Wait a minute. I wonder if I can record this. It's on a bonus DVD. Oh, it's a promo interview. It's a PS2 disc, but I don't think it comes... Does anyone know if this is on Final Fantasy X's? I wonder if it's a second disc. It's probably a second disc, so I probably don't have it. If this wasn't so stretched, it would probably look fine, so I can probably just unstretch it. Alright, we're gonna call this FF10 interviews. Let that download. And that's gonna go in here, so that'll be that. And I think I'll call it there for today once I have that in. This animation is going to take a little time. Kind of happy with this. I'm happy with how this turned out.
At this time, Final Fantasy series creator Hironobu Sakaguchi was the executive vice president at Square and was well respected within the company's culture for his role in Final Fantasy's mainstream success throughout the 90s. However, his business philosophy wasn't supported by everyone. Newly appointed CFO Yoichi Wada, in particular, became Sakaguchi's largest source of opposition internally, and their disagreements came to a head when the Spirits Within bombed at the box office and lost the company tens of millions of dollars. Anticipating that the shareholders would ultimately side with Wada, who became the president of Square shortly thereafter, Sakaguchi had already laid down his plans to walk away and start his own independent studio. In early 2001, before the release of Spirits Within, he had already registered a trademark for Mistwalker.
I'm actually going to start that at the beginning. Oh, there's just no reason.
In early 2001, before the release of Spirits Within, he had already registered a trademark for Mistwalker and secured its domain name. Though he stayed on at Square in an executive producer role for Final Fantasy XI and XII, he was also making preparations to go his own way. And in 2003, he left the company, which had served as his home for 20 years.
All right. F10 interviews. Let's see. FF10 interviews. Okay. Whoever recorded this is so stupid. All right. This is stretched up the wazoo. It's ridiculous. So, first of all, let's get the freaking uniform scale out of here. Him to look like a normal human being, like that. There we go. And actually, guess what I could do now.
Though he stayed on at Square in an executive producer role for Final Fantasy XI and XII, he was also making preparations to go his own. 11 and 12. and 12, he was also making preparations to and 12, he was also making preparations to go his own way. And in 2003, he left the company which had served as his home for 20 years and upon which he had founded his And in 2003, he left the company which had served as his home for 20 years. And
no, it eventually moved to a close-up. Thank you.
12, he was also making preparations to go his own way. And in 2003, he left the company. 2003, he left the And in 2003, he left the company which had served as his home for 20 years and upon which he had founded his name and legacy to begin a new phase of his career as an independent game maker. Independent game maker.
Alright, so actually I'm not going to do that just yet. We're going to take all of these and we're going to nest them. That, and then we're going to put a crop on this. From the bottom up to get rid of the subtitles. Now we're going to reposition the crap out of this to fill the screen up. There we go.
Though he stayed on at Square in an executive producer role for...
Yeah, that's not centered at all, is it? Get this centered first.
For Final Fantasy 11 and 12.
Cut. Down. What the fetch? I'm on you. Why are you not moving down? What in the fetch is going on?
Executive producer role for Final Fantasy 11 and 12. He was also...
What? That was whack. Okay.
He was all...
Oh, because that frame. That was weird. That frame right there. Reasonable.
12. He was also making preparations to go his own way. And in 2003, he left the company which had served as his home for 20 years. 12. He was also making preparations to go his own way.
I thought I had done this already.
And in 2003, he left the company which had served as his home for 20 years and upon which he had founded his name and legacy to begin a new phase of his career as an
What?
And
What the fetch? This is so whack, dude. 135. 135.
preparations to go his own way. And in 2003, he...
That is impossible. How on earth are you still not? Dude, get the fetch out of here.
Go his own way. And in 2003, he left the company which had served as his home for 20 years and upon which he had founded his name and legacy to begin a new phase of his career as an independent game maker. Independent game maker.
All right. That is where I'm going to stop for today. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow to do some more. Till then, have a great evening, and peace out.